Hi everyone, Sarah here. This week I have two cards to share with you featuring stamps purchased from the Not2Shabby shop. I did use quite a few dies from my stash, but mainly the focus was the stamp sets. So I used the new Mermaid for You from Lawn Fawn, which Jamie does have on pre-order in the shop. So she does have more coming in, so you can pre-order it. I'll put the link to this one down below. And then the other one I used was Year 6. This is the It's Your Birthday, Be a Little Shellfish. I added that one in on that card. And then the other card I used this Pixie Dust from Avery-Elle. This was purchased from the Not2Shabby shop a little while ago. Unfortunately, it's no longer in stock, but there are some other Avery-Elle stamp sets. And I think, I want to check and see, she might not have it. The fairy stamp set from Lawn Fawn would actually work for this one also. Yeah, she does have fairy friends, so I'll link that one down below too. So I needed to make a special birthday card. Today is my mom's birthday. The day that you're seeing this video is my mom's birthday. So I wanted to make her a card, and I was starting out with the background, and I have a process on the background video, so I'll attach it for you guys. But these are the two cards that I came up with. Super adorable. Let me see if you guys can see. Okay, so they are both shaker cards, but as you can see, this one, the shakers are not sticking to the acetate as much. I'll explain what happened later. Here's the other one. You can see that the little sequins are, or the little glitter is sticking. So here's the one with Mermaid for You, and then the shellfish, the little clam, and the rock is underneath here. You can't really see it because of the shakers, but the rock is there. I have a little seashell and the little seahorse. And the background is all done with distress ink, and I used water, and then also it was scintillating silver from Lindy's Stamp Gang. I used that for some shimmer on it. So it's hard to tell right now when I'm filming because it's nighttime, but there is lots of beautiful shimmer on the background of the card also. I did do 2 layers of foam and then a layer of cardstock. It's a glitter cardstock with the acetate and a bunch of different sequins. So there are some blue and turquoisey ones. That is a mix from Michael's. In the kids section from the sequins. And then you can see little stars. I added in little stars and little hearts, and then just the silver. It's the Heidi Swap Marquee chunky glitter, the silver one. So super sparkly, super shimmery. There's Wink of Stella on the mermaid, on her hair and on her tail and her little bathing suit. And there's Wink of Stella on the actual clam. I'll see if I can take a picture to post to show all the shimmer in it. And this one I used the Magical Birthday Witches is from the fairy stamp set. And then these Sending and Wishing dies are from Simon Says Stamp. They're just from my stash. This is the MFT tag dies that Jamie did have in the shop. I'll just grab it here to show you real quick. This one that I've used in the videos previously, I used this tag right here to do that part. So Sending Magical Birthday Wishes, and on the inside I used It's Your Birthday, Be a Little Shellfish. For that one, this one, I have 2 of the fairies. They're all colored up with Copic and Wink of Stella. The same mix is in here, except I did add different colors of hearts and stars. There's a little more purple. I did Wishing a Fairy Happy Birthday to You, and on the inside, Don't Be Afraid to Sparkle. So again, 2 layers of foam, the frame and the acetate. So I'll explain to you why this one is all staticky and this one is not. My intention when I was making these cards was that I was going to try and heat emboss on the acetate and put the message right on the acetate. which is why everything was placed where it was, and then unfortunately I had to stick these in on the top. I used my embossing buddy, my little chalk embossing buddy, on the acetate. I stamped it, and I poured the powder on, and the powder stuck to everything. So it was terrible. So what I had to do, this was the one that I started with, I cleaned it off with a baby wipe, like cleaned the whole acetate. And then I needed to dry it off, but I didn't want to dry it off with paper towel or Kleenex because get all lint all over it. So I actually used my stamp chamois. It was dry sitting here. It usually is sitting like this, so it was dry. So I took this end and just rubbed it straight, flipped it over, and rubbed it straight again. And that seemed to actually help with all the static. So these shaker bits are in here, but they don't cling to the acetate like they are on this one. They're all clinging to the acetate, and I can't really get them to get out of the way, which honestly I like the way it looks anyways, but this one just looks a much cleaner. I don't know, it's different. So anyways, super cute cards. I will attach the process for the backgrounds and then also for the Copic coloring. The other thing I wanted to show, I don't have it in the background video. You can see the die. Let me just show you the die that I used. This is Snowdrifts from MFT. So I colored my background on watercolor paper. Then I die cut, and I did both of them, die cut both of them. And then what I did was I took the pieces out and took them from this piece of paper into this one, and the ones that came out of this one went into this one. And then you can tell that I have like variegated colors because the little banners or the little stripes are not the same coloring as the pieces that are in there. So it gave a really, really nice look. All right, I hope that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, let me know. All right, so stay tuned for the process video. Okay, so for the background, I am using Prima watercolor paper from my stash. I have 3 Distress ink colors. They are Shaded Lilac, Salty Ocean, and Blueprint Sketch. So I used the same 3 colors in both backgrounds. Basically just trying to create an ombre look. The Faded Lilac, I believe, is drying out on my little mini Distress ink pad, so I had to, for the second one, go to find my bigger pad out of Jonathan's room. So I'm just blending them in together just to make that ombre background. I didn't leave too much of the Faded Lilac showing because really it was just an extra color to add in there. Always remember when you're doing Distress ink on watercolor paper, or really any paper, use a piece of paper towel or another piece of paper to hold what you're working on, because your fingers will pick up the ink and leave marks. This watercolor paper from Prima does have a texture to it, a lot more than just a regular watercolor paper, but it still worked really well. So Blueprint Sketch is the darkest color that I'm adding in here. It does have a purpley tint to it, so it ended up being a very nice mixture of colors. After I was done applying the color, I did use my heat tool just to dry it a little bit more. I don't believe I show that on the actual video. Again, you're just blending it in. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want a good amount of color on there. Okay, so the next step after it's dry, I used my distress sprayer to add in some water. Again, one of the different properties to this Prima watercolor paper is that it actually soaks up the paper a lot quicker than others do, so you don't have to let it sit as long with the water, because usually you want to let the water sit and then pool the color on top. If you let it sit too much, it'll soak into the paper. This is just the die cut that I ran it through. Before I did this, I did spray it with the scintillating silver to get the sparkly, and then I did dry it. Between the water spraying and the scintillating silver spray, I dried it with the heat gun. And then again, I die cut both of them and then switched the pieces out so that the frame did not have the pieces that were colored with it, so that you could see different colors. Now this is the Copic coloring of the images. All of the images were stamped with the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink on B Paper Company marker paper. It is my go-to paper. I really like it. You don't need to use a lot of ink and not too many colors for shading. So for the faces, I used E50, E51, and E53, and then just little dabs of R11 for the cheeks. For the purple on her body, I used FV2 and V09. I was trying to use some different colors, so you may think that they don't really match when you look at them, but they do. For the tail, I used G05 and BG49. Again, I used a blue and a turquoise to get some different color mixes in there. I did blend them, and then I also did the dot technique, just adding in a couple of dots of each of the colors, just to give it some texture. Next is the hair, and I used YR21, YR23, and E99. Just used some light flicking motions. It's not a huge image, so there's not a lot of space to work with, but just added in a little bit of color and a little bit of flicks, and then blended it out. Turned out super cute. The next one that I'm coloring is the rock. You don't really see it very much in the card, but it is there. For the rock, I used T3, T5, and T8, and just did some basic shading on that one. The next one that I colored was the oyster. I used E40 and E43, and then just blended it out. And again, the R11 for the cheeks. I used some different colors on the actual clamshell itself. I used, again, the FV2 and the V09 for on the inside of the shell to give it a darker color. And then on the outside, I used BV04, or sorry, no, BV13 was the first one. And then BV04 is the darker. Unfortunately, my BV04 is a bit, I don't know, it gets kind of gooky. I think I need to change the nib on it. So I just used it a little bit, and then I switched up my purples on the actual fairies. So again, the outside of the clamshell is BV13 and BV04. You can see me cleaning off the edge of my BV13 just after I'm done, because it is, the BV04 kind of leaves a little bit of a residue. So that's why I was cleaning it off on the side of the piece of paper. And then the two little quick images that are left is the little seashell, which I used R11 and R22. And I did a little bit of tip-to-tip shading with that one, just because those two colors are pretty far apart. And then for the seahorse, I used the same colors that I used in the mermaid's tail, which is the G05 for the green and the BG49 for the turquoise. Now those images were all fussy cut out with scissors. I don't have the dies for that set. For the fairies, I pretty much stuck with the same colors that I used on the other images. All the skin tones were E50, E51, and E53, with R11 for the cheeks. I did use the same colors for the hair. I used the YR21, YR23, and E99. For the wings, I just used B000 and the colorless blender, just to give a little bit of a blue highlight. And then I did cover the wings in Wink of Stella to give it a big shiny glitter on there. The dresses of the fairies I colored off camera because I couldn't decide what colors to use, but I ended up using the BV13 and BV17 to keep them with the purple color tones. Again, thank you all for watching. Big happy birthday to my mom, and please comment, subscribe, and have a nice day.